Hey there, I'm Peter Soby with Distill It with RichardListens. I'm sitting here with Dr. Richard Oelberger.
Morning, everybody.
And we are still here at the Stanford University campus, and we are back in the building of psychiatry. And we have a really awesome guest that we're sitting here with. We're in her office, and we're going to be panning over in a second, but I would like to introduce Dr. Lisa Post, who is with us. And Dr. Lisa, give us the litany of your titles here at the Stanford
academics
University.
have a long list.
Yes.
So, So I'm a clinical associate professor here in the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences, and I direct a program for Stanford's varsity athletes. It's a clinical psychology program, so if they have whatever life issues are going on with those kids, we have a service here in the department. Provides psychological and psychiatric care. And also I'm the team clinician for the San Francisco 49ers.
Wow, the San Francisco 49ers. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So to start with, go into a little bit about your history at Stanford. You said you've been here since 1987.
Oh my goodness, I have my whole career here at Stanford. Yeah. And I did all my training here. And I started in the alcohol clinic. We had a inpatient unit, and I started there. But when you're here at Stanford, you get training in lots of different things. So I've had a broad training in, depression, eating disorders, anxiety issues, etc., and the alcohol stuff. But in 2000, the sports medicine program wanted to expand their services for the athletes, and so they asked me if I would take that over. So since 2000, I've been managing that population, whatever for referrals come through our sports medicine program. And then I guess it was about 10 years ago, Stanford physicians are actually closely associated with the 49ers. And so since things were going well with the athletes, the doctors there thought I'd be a good choice for being their team clinician. And so I got that job, and I do that. It's kind of changed and expanded over the years. So it's been terrific. It's really fun.
Yeah, and again, I want to thank, we're really blown away. They're going to check us in at this Department of Psychiatry if we keep coming back. This is our third visit here, so if you don't see us for a while, you'll know we're in good hands. But we want to, thank Dr. Lisa. She squeezed us in her busy schedule the next morning, and a lot of our listeners want to know about, a lot of things about athletes and how they deal with mental health issues. So being someone who has your experience and who's now, are you educating athletes ahead of time, or are they only coming to you when there is a problem in their life?
Well, you're interested in how the 49ers deal with things a little different maybe than the Stanford athletes. And I think Stanford has done a great job, as many of the colleges are doing now in the last few years, of doing a lot of wellness and prevention services for their athletes. And so we actually have another psychologist, maybe you'll get to her next, in our sports medicine program, and she is on the kind of front line with the wellness prevention and does more performance issues with the kids here. And so we want to really destigmatize the mental health issues. You let people come in and realize that it's all about improving yourself and learning about yourself, and having good coping skills as opposed to some of the less helpful ones, like drinking or drug use or whatever, avoiding. And so also I would say that's kind of parallel with the 49ers, and I think the 49ers actually have been at the forefront of, way back to the Bill Walsh days, of bringing in, they started the kind of player engagement program where there's, all the the NFL has this program now, that kind of took over, I think, the model originally, and it's just grown and expanded, of helping rookies come in and to start to kind of get a broad view of what the stressors are and better coping strategies, and develop a whole group and support for that, peer support for that.
And how open do you feel the players are to your presence there?
I think it's just really, so I've been there 10 years, and I think things have changed a lot. I think there's just a lot more openness to it. I think some of the first years I was there, the guys would we'd have these education modules, and they'd sit in the back, covered up and monosyllabic, and not really interact as a group. But now, we really start when they come in before the season, when you have our, off-season programming, And we have many modules for these rookies, and I think it's a whole kind of getting used to the environment, and just seeing us as a huge resource. And they're really interactive. We've had, the last few years are great guys. They become a pretty cohesive group, and I think it's pretty supportive for them.
When you said there's a difference between like kind of what you do with Stanford athletes compared to the 49ers, like speak on that for a moment.
Well, I think you're kind of you're at a different developmental stage, right? Just in the age, how people grow in their identity formation and the issues there. But also, Stanford's a pretty high pressure place. We had the Director's Cup for, I don't know, over 20 years here, and so, but, being a professional athlete just adds a lot of stress, People are move, from far away. Sometimes the zip codes in the NFL the guys are coming from, have been challenging to them, and they're the guys who put in a ton of work to better themselves, but it's still travel away from home. If there's any money involved, or even, it's just managing the perceptions of people in your hometown. And now with social media, that's even more intense. That's been another huge change since I've been at the team. So the expectations on these guys and the pressure is huge. Plus, you can lose your job. A college player is kind of a family. You're there pretty much for the 4 years unless something happens. But at any moment you could lose your job, and you're fighting for that job. And so I think there's a lot of stress there.
Right, a job that's like so physical. Like you look at baseball contracts, they get hurt. They get paid. In football, though, you get hurt. It's like, that's it.
Yeah, injuries are pretty tough for people.
So do they actually come into the office here, or do you go to Levi Stadium?
Yeah. I go down to Levi Stadium. There's their training facilities there. So I'm down there about halftime when the guys are around, and just available, and we interact, and it's very it's an interesting role for a psychologist to do, especially the more clinical. So I'm kind of serve the team and the organization. So available there, and it's kind of a family. So that's an interesting role, because most of the time in an office here, you're in the office. Right. They come for an hour. That's that, and that's not to say we don't have individual meetings there, but also it's a resource if people need referrals, or just to work through a few things, or again, just to try and have this integrated into the atmosphere and the environment where there's support and these topics are being discussed on a daily basis, with everyone there. It's to raise kind of the water in the lake, if you will, for everybody in the organization.
So that's a good point. So it's very delicate to keep the environment and the culture safe and welcoming. How do you balance that with the stigma and the the confidentiality?
Yeah, that is a
they
huge...
can tell you, and you're not going to go right to coach and say.
And I think that was one of the things at the beginning that was more of the concern, because people have to get to know you. And you blow it once, that's the end, because the locker room, people know what's going on, right? It's a very small community. So building the trust is key, and being very clear and direct with, the organization right up at the front end, and also ongoing as you kind of build those relationships. So I think having the support of the organization is key. And they've really been great about that. I mean, just being really clear with hey, here's what's going on, saying that to the player, this is what, and getting an agreement with them. Does that make sense? It's just really being very direct and very clear, and making sure everyone knows what's being shared or not shared,
Right.
So you'll provide these sessions and you'll support the athletes, but you're not going to...
Exactly, and saying that directly to and sometimes you repeat that frequently, but I think they've been really great about that.
When you said halftime, did you mean you're there half the time, or you literally go to the game and you're there for that?
Oh, no. Well, that would be the fun part at halftime.
I
go to the game.
Are you there during the halftime?
Half of my work
week.
Half of my work week is actually on the campus.
Okay.
And then it's pretty much a 24-hour. If there's a thing, you can call
and Richard, you were wondering about just the culture changes.
Yeah, I'm really curious, having been on teams that won a lot, lost a lot, and then obviously transitions, how it's been for you.
Well, one of the interesting things is just athletes transitioning out of their sport. That can be really distressing.
And that's a big topic on our show a lot.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
We have, it's called Distill It with RichardListens. So two of the entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs, have a company called The Distillery, which works with athletes
That's awesome.
discovering their potential to move out into the business world. So that's part of, it's more and more coming up. Like, what do you do?
I remember one guy, this was years ago, and I thought he was really going to have a nervous breakdown. I mean, he, got very injured. He was near the end of he'd had a great career, but kind of near the end and got injured and just, wow, where's the next branch? What am I going to do? And very agitated. And we really had to help him through that. Luckily, that worked out. But now, I think, since that time, I think the organization and the league too really do try. Hey, how do you prepare for that second career? Talking about it right when they come in as a rookie, whether the guys listen or not. We have programs for second and third year guys too. The league mandates some stuff for the rookies educationally to talk about some of these things. But hey, would they really try? What's your life plan? What's your process? Make sure you get your college degree. Think about what you're going to do next. And then I just have an alumni group. Try and really help those guys and make extra for them. It's above and beyond what they need to do.
Yeah, so back to maybe the point you mentioned earlier, I kind of really just resonated with me when you mentioned some of these challenging zip codes. Like, what do you say to the player like that who's away from home? The environment is still pulling on them. And if anything, they feel like they have more hooks in. And how do you help that player who's like the stress, they really are in an unfamiliar environment, yet going back isn't exactly safe and supportive either.
And now, people will call and ask, people you've never, family members you haven't seen in forever call, and now say you have an obligation to them financially. There's a lot of projection of how much money the guys actually do make, I think it's a lot more, and what that means, So I think a lot is education, number one. Just what are the realities? What will you face? Giving the guys a venue to talk as a group about what is going on, this so-and-so called, this is how I handled it. So letting them kind of work that out, and we give them tips. We teach them interpersonal effectiveness skills, how to say no skills, talking about how you could set up, maybe a barrier, boundaries, as you will, with finances and other things. Have somebody who kind of runs interference for you, and also just helping them feel okay about taking care of themselves, because they're really good guys and they care a lot about their families and what people think, and just trying to help them see that they're not a bad person for setting up their own life, first.
Yeah, that's a key point there, right? There's a sense of you want to give back and the sense of loyalty.
Definitely.
Yet it can be a point where it may cause them, I'm sure, some anxiety or overwhelm.
And it's not just families, it can be the whole community calling and wanting, invest in this, or I need money for that, or, or even just, sometimes very critical. You think, projecting how they think the athlete now is very arrogant or thinks too much of himself or whatever. And, that hurts those guys. So it's too bad. And I think the social media really adds kind of a lot of juice to that.
An extra level of...
Because it's always, say the wrong thing on the social media or something somebody doesn't like, or the anonymity there. People love to make comments.
Or they perceive you to be living large.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you've forgotten about them personally.
So we try to establish a peer culture in the environment that supports, guys taking care of themselves, not coping with substances or other things, but young men. So we're less than perfect there, I guess, but we do our best. So.
Do you have a favorite group exercise that you like to do for team cohesion or unity, or to help people see how they can support each other better?
I just think, for us, sometimes I don't like a gimmick, and sometimes these guys will feel it's a little gimmick, but we really do role plays. That's something. I just think creating that group dynamic, it's a small group, really, it's usually less than 20 people and sometimes it gets smaller. Sometimes we'll put things up in the wall and get them into groups and teams, and they think about that. But we don't have a lot of time with them. They're very busy when they're there. They're working all day long. One of my favorite things we did was for stress management this year, we added a little bit of a yoga component. And these guys, they're so physical, but yoga can be a little challenging. We had a great woman come in and I think they really like that. You know, they could learn a stress management technique. We offer, it's not mandatory or anything, a mindfulness, group where they can just come and learn how to use a variety of stress reduction
Right,
techniques.
even if they come in and just laugh at themselves at how awkward or difficult it is.
Sometimes they look awkward and I think, oh my God, do they not like it? But then they'll come up later and go, I just couldn't stay still, and then how do I do that? And yeah, they usually really want to pursue it, and after they're much more relaxed and open,
So on a final note, because we're going to get wrapping up here, regarding like change in culture and stuff like that, you said you've been through 6 head coaches. So how's that been with different GMs, different coaches? This year, of course, you got a brand new GM and a coach.
I guess, he seems, I just met the GM. He seems like a really great guy. I think each person has brought a lot of positive things to the organization, and from the outside you can't really see that. So maybe I'm a person who looks for all the positive things, but
Which is great.
Coach Nolan brought so much organization to the team, and Coach Harbaugh just brought a lot of really football, and that was really exciting to see the energy level. Managing your energy level, managing the locker room's energy level is pretty key. It gets too excited or not or whatever, and and so I'm hoping the 49ers are a great place, and I really hope that we get back in and get that Bay Area vibe going again, because the team can bring up a whole area.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, that the difference between winning and losing sometimes is very small, and we don't always notice the change in culture that a coach has brought in, and his staff and the young players, and it may take a while for that to manifest in terms of a win or a loss.
And it's hard to have patience when everyone is from the outside. It's hard to know what goes on the inside, I think. But overall, I really think they are great people and supportive of their players. And
Amazing.
yeah, I mean, it's a tough business, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
It's so out there.
So this has been a great interview, and one thing I know for sure, Dr. Lisa, is that we definitely want to have you on Distill It with Richard Listens, like for an entire show, one Monday night coming up.
Great, that'd be fun.
There's so many subdivisions of the things you've talked about, and so many things, and I know our audience will have so many questions, and Wendy and Era, the other hosts of the show, are going to have so many questions.
That's
And you're
great.
amazing.
Awesome, I love being
we
told
can just
I'm
talk
amazing.
and talk and talk.
I'm going to play that over and over for myself as a stress management thing.
This
You're
is your
amazing.
affirmation. This is your daily affirmation.
So,
Yeah.
and do
thanks
you-
for having me.
And do you have any and do you write books or anything like that? Do you have
God, no,
anything
I
to-
say it behind the scenes. Maybe I should start writing, but I mean, I
Right.
have some chapters and things, but I'm more of been an academic person here.
Okay, but so many people.
But that's
would
kind
be
of good. Keep it
fascinated
quiet,
by- Yeah, but you'd have a lot of information to pass
Thanks.
on to people for sure.
Well,
so.
think about it. You're giving me something to think about.
Yes.
He's got me doing a radio show, so
Awesome.
be careful once you meet
Right.
Peter Soby.
Well, TV show.
A
We gotta
TV
remember
show.
about TV
Wow,
show.
terrific.
So anyway, so
I'm from LA, so I'm really into
okay.
it. Yeah. I
Oh,
grew up
that's
down there,
awesome.
so I love it. So I'll come down
But,
and visit.
wow, maybe if you ever come down, we should have
Sure.
you in the studio. We'll
That'd
have
be
to
fun.
coordinate your trip.
Awesome.
This is
I'm on.
amazing. Well, I have to say one thing to our viewers. This is exciting. Stanford is welcoming. Look at what higher academics are doing to reach athletes, to support their athletes. There's amazing things out there. There's amazing changes going on in knowledge of how to help. Really excited about even the way the colleagues at Stanford work together, working with addiction and working with depression and other real life issues, and then translating that to the professional level. So there are amazing people out there, and we hope to bring you more of them and the amazing work that they're doing. And thanks for checking in with us.
Thanks a lot. Thanks
Thank
again,
you.
Dr. Lisa Post. And we will be shooting more videos soon, so be looking for them. So long.
Bye, everybody.